Alright guys, so in March of last year, I actually made a video on the TitanFall 2 campaign. I focused solely on the campaign, didn't touch multiplayer. It's not the greatest of videos now, the audio quality is quite bad looking back at it, but I made my points and talked about the level design and the story and the Titan and the animation and all that stuff. You can go watch it, I'll put the card to it if you want, just the audio's rough, so there's your warning. Alright, so here, after we had unofficial Titanfall day, what was it, a week or two ago, where the numbers were spiking and everyone said on this day, I believe it was the 1st, we're all going to play Titanfall 2 multiplayer. I had actually been playing it for the week coming up to that, and so I've played it recently. I played it when the game launched, and I've always thought it was good, but going back to it and playing it now, I want to focus on what makes it great and why EA kind of won't touch Titanfall 3. And so when replaying the Titanfall 2 multiplayer, I really noticed kind of the pattern and how everything sticks out and really how the central gameplay loop works within the multiplayer, right? And essentially what happens is it steals from another popular franchise, which at this point, you know, there's so much made and so many copycats of everything. Everybody steals from everybody at this point. I mean, just look at Battle Royale. But my point being, and this really stood out to me in my most recent playthrough of the multiplayer, is that the first half of the match is a Call of Duty game, right? It's essentially what it is. If you're not familiar with how the multiplayer works, you drop in as just a regular dude who has double jumps and wall runs, right? It's an exosuit Call of Duty game. Until you get to the point when you unlock your Titan about halfway through the match, depending on how good you do, and then it becomes a Titan v Titan, Pilot v Titan type thing, right? And so essentially the match is split up into two sections, right? Your Call of Duty section and then your unique Titanfall section. And so it has both aspects for, you know, both sides of the player base, right? There's people that just want to run around and wall run and shoot people with machine guns and shotguns and sniper rifles and all of that stuff. There's people that just want to play with Titans, and then there's what I would say is the majority of people who like to do a bit of both. Now this is really hard to balance. For example, if you think about Call of Duty and the operator abilities that were in, I believe, Black Ops 3 and 4, there were some that were just, you know, insanely better than others, right? Just overpowered. It's like the guns in Warzone nowadays. And so the way they choose to balance this is by giving pilots weapons not only to damage the Titans, but in order to attach onto the back of a Titan, steal its battery, give it to a friend. So now you have a third layer of gameplay where you're running around stealing shields from other Titans and giving them to your teammates and, you know, just going back and forth. And my point I'm trying to make is that there's multiple ways to play the multiplayer here. You can be a ground unit, you can be Titan heavy, you can do a bit of both. And now, this is just talking about the three types of gameplay at face value, right? Your Titan, your Pilot, and your mix of both. But then, within Pilot and within Titan, there's now another 5+ different playstyles available. And like Call of Duty's operators, where you have special abilities, Titanfall's pilots have, I guess you could say, these abilities as well. I think the main one that most people use is the grappling hook. There's people that can turn invisible. There's people who can pulse enemies through walls. All types of special abilities for the side of the pilots. But that also transitions into Titans. And so in Titanfall 1, I believe there were, I think, 3 classes, maybe 2 to choose from, right? It was Scorch, which is here again, and then the default, which I want to say is Ion, but I'm not sure on the names and all of that. Here, I believe there's something like 8 different Titan classes that you can choose from, right? And what makes this so great is how different all of them are, right? There's the generic one that you've seen with the regular gun and the shield and the lasers and all of that. There's the fire one. There's one that can fly. One has a sniper rifle. One freaking has a sword. A freaking giant robot with a sword, alright? And it's not only the primary weapons that make these things different, the Titans also look different, have different primary and secondary abilities, different ultimate abilities, different movement abilities, and so they play completely differently. And what this does, it allows you to take a playstyle that you might not normally play and experiment with it, right? You can take the one you normally play in most games, max that out, then move on to the next one, the next one, the next one. Every time you play, you can have a different loadout and different abilities and different Titan setups to allow you to play completely differently every single time. And so where does this all lead me? What's my point, right? And so if you really compare this to a lot of games that have come out recently, right, this is significantly better, right? This game is 5 years old now at this point. It holds up a lot better than, again, some of the recent things that have been coming out. And so when looking back at it, I think it's become a meme and a big thing lately, because this should have been a Battlefield 3. This should have been a Battlefield 4, a Modern Warfare 2, Halo Reach. And the fact that it didn't is a positive and a negative for, I think, obvious reasons, right? The negative is, obviously, we would have been on Titanfall 3 or 4 by now if this game would have blown up to levels that it deserves. The negatives is that it would have been an EA game, and I think, circling back around to what I said in the beginning, that's why they haven't touched it. That's why EA has not made a Titanfall 3, and they're just continuing on with Apex. And it does have to do with the success of Apex, but they know with their model and how they make games now, they cannot make a Titanfall 3 and improve upon what they have and still fit their microtransactions in there, because you know how EA would do it. You'd be paying for all the new Titan loadouts, every new skin and piece of customization. There'd be millions of gun skins. There'd be microtransactions everywhere in this game. So I think this is a lose-lose scenario all around to end the video on a negative, right? Because you can't make another one and top this because of how good the story is and the multiplayer. That rarely happens where you get both right. And then the studio who own the rights to it, well, it's EA. That's all I have to say. You guys let me know down below in the comments if you were on the Titanfall 2 hype train when it released. If you recently started playing it, send me your best Titanfall 2 memes down in the comments. And I'll see you guys on the next one.